I'll go ahead and call the regularly scheduled meeting of the Natrona County Board of County Commissioners for Tuesday, August 3rd, 2021 to order. We have roll call, please.
Commissioner Hendry?
Here.
Commissioner Kaufman?
Here.
Commissioner Milne?
Here.
Commissioner North?
Here.
Chairman Bertolio?
Here. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Commissioner Hendry, second by Commissioner North to approve the consent agenda. Any adjustments, discussion, or otherwise?
Mr. Chairman, on the consent agenda is a lease agreement for the guardian ad litem. There's still a little bit of negotiation with regard to the insurance language in that, so I think you could either designate that it would be approved conditioned upon legal resolving those issues, or just pull it and approve it conditionally separate from the consent agenda.
Okay. Commissioner Milne.
Eric, if we approved it conditionally, would that affect any of the other parts of the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Milne,
Yes.
I think as long as you designate in the motion that that one item is conditional approval upon legal approval or review, I think you'd be fine.
Okay.
I would make that part of my motion.
Okay.
A second.
Okay. Any other comments on any of the items? All right. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda with the amendment that the item N, facility lease agreement, be contingent upon final legal review. Good. All right. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of notice of application of transfer of ownership of a full retail liquor license from CC Cowboys doing business as Racks to Monty Elliott. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, rules of the Natrona County Commission, and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals who wish to address the commission to approach the lectern and state your name and address. Madam Clerk, may we have a report?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, on July 22nd, 2021, I received written notification from Steve Winship, who represents the applicant Monty Elliott, to formally withdraw the transfer request of the retail liquor license that was dated May 26th, 2021. With that being said, I would ask for the commission to remove from the table.
All right. Chair to entertain a motion to remove from the table the full retail liquor license transfer.
Mr. Chairman, so moved.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to remove from the table retail liquor license transfer. All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. At this point, do we need to simply withdraw it, or by motion, or is that sufficient,
Mr. Chairman, we have received the formal withdrawal request, so I think it's, now that it's off the table, I think it's just withdrawn. I think the record's clear.
Mute. All right, great. I now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of notice of application for a new full retail liquor license, Linlog LLC, doing business as Linlog. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, rules of the Natrona County Commission, and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals who wish to address the commission to approach the lectern and state your name and address. At this point, may we have a report from County Attorney Nelson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. We received this application for a full retail liquor license on July 12, 2021. This license would be within the 5-mile buffer or radius from the town of Mills. With the withdrawal of the previous matter, there are currently 3 full retail licenses already issued in that area. Pursuant to Wyoming Statute 12-4-201, F Romanet 2, that is the maximum amount that can be issued. Therefore, there are no full retail liquor licenses legally available to be issued, even if the county commission did want to issue one to Linlog. So therefore, I believe that this matter should be dismissed for lack of available liquor license.
Okay. Do we need any type of motion, or is it simply a moot point?
I think, Mr. Chairman, to keep the record clear, since this hasn't been voluntarily withdrawn, I think based on the legal advice, a motion to dismiss and a second and a vote would
Okay.
be good.
All right, sounds good. At this time, I chair to entertain a motion to dismiss the application for a new full retail liquor license to Linlog LLC.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to dismiss the notice of application for new liquor license for Linlog based off of staff's recommendations and state statute.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Milne, second by Commissioner Kaufman to dismiss the application. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. I now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of PS 21-003, approval of Cut Hill Estates lots 9 and 10. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, rules of the Natrona County Commission, and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals who wish to address the commission to approach the lectern and state your name and address. Mr. County Attorney, may we have a report?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I'll be presenting the planning items this evening. The first item before you is PS 21-003, Cut Hill Estates lots 9 and 10. So the proposed creation of the lot split is near the intersection of Gary Dome and Coal Creek Road. You can see on the map there, it's outlined in red, and the approximate location of the split. Giving a little context, the lots to be split are in urban agricultural. They're bounded on all sides except one by UA, to the top by RR-1, so rural residential. Here's a photograph, and I have to admit I'm not sure exactly from which direction, but as you can see in the middle of the picture there, it indicates where the 10 acres are to be split off. And then you can see where the applicant's home is to the upper left-hand corner. And again, this one is looking towards the south. I can actually figure that out with the mountain, showing where the subject parcel is. And again, another view of the property to be divided. So the criteria for approval: is the subdivision consistent with the development plan? So the proposed subdivision is located in neighborhood 34, Sandy Lake, of the 2016 development plan. The development plan projection is for infill only in existing subdivisions. So the proposed finding of fact is that the subdivision does comply with the zoning resolution. The parcel is zoned urban agriculture and has a 10-acre minimum lot size. Both lots are compliant with that lot size. Is the subdivision in conformance with the general provision, Chapter 1, and subdivision design standards, Chapter 7? The proposed finding of fact, the subdivision has been processed in accordance with the applicable general provisions and subdivision design standards of the 2013 Natrona County subdivision regulations. Has the applicant provided evidence that a sufficient water supply system and sewer disposal system will comply with state and local laws and regulations? The applicant currently has a well that supplies water, and that the new lot would also have a well if it is sold and developed. Is the subdivision compatible with the surrounding area, not detrimental to future development of the area, and not detrimental to the health, safety, and general welfare of the inhabitants of the area and the county? So the application was sent to the Natrona County Health Department. The applicant is currently completing necessary percolation and trench inspections. So part of that finding of fact would then be that it'd be contingent upon passing those necessary inspections. So documentation satisfactory to the Board of County Commissioners that the improvement service district requirements have been met. Since all access to the subdivision, it would be from a county road, our regulations would not require an improvement service district. So as of tonight, there have been no comments received with regard to the application. Notifications were sent to the adjacent property owners. At the July 14th, 2021 meeting, the Planning Commission recommended approval of this agenda item, including the findings of fact. That's the sum total of the presentation. Happy to attempt to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Mr. Nelson?
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
just a question that I can't tell based on the map, Eric. Is there access to that 10-acre parcel? So I see very clearly there's a road to the 20 acres, but I was curious about the 10.
So my recollection, Madam Vice Chair, is that there is, and I'm trying to recall.
Yeah, it's right here.
I didn't see it on that.
I think that's the road.
So off Gary Dome and then off the Coal Creek.
I believe looking at the plat.
Yep.
That there is a road that runs down the eastern boundary of that little handle, and then jumps in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. It's
And
this
then what they're
hatch.
showing is that,
Yeah.
then they're showing it coming back in, right there.
So I believe, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, there was discussion at Planning and Zoning that it was impossible to access it off of Coal Creek Road due to traffic and topography. I think there's a large disparity in elevation there, and so it would come off of Gary Dome along that lot line on the existing access.
Thank you.
Okay. Other questions? Okay, that's it. Thank you. At this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of PS 21-003 to approach the lectern. Good evening, sir.
I'm Mike Corrigan. Mike Corrigan, reside at 7459 East Gary Dome Road, and I am the applicant. I can answer any questions you want. That is a road, that is our road, and we did survey it in and granted easement to Brittany Rummel and her mother, who are right here too. They can answer questions. We're all here. We get along well with the neighbors. The neighbors don't have any objection to it. There's only two, so, and we get along with everybody very well.
Any questions? I just want, is that kind of a low spot in there? Is it swampy in there?
Not swampy.
But I mean,
If, like the rainstorm a week ago,
Ponds up.
there's a spot down low that might get a, 20, 30 foot wet spot,
okay,
but it doesn't stay.
okay,
And that's not the house site. The house site, if you look on the, what is that? I can't quite read that, approximate location of split, where that arrow goes in, right in that upper corner is where the house,
Okay.
best house location is.
okay. Good.
And we get along really, she's been boarding for me for quite a while. This is one of those situations where you might get to pick your neighbor. So,
Okay. Any other questions for Mr.
Mr.
Corrigan?
Chair, just a comment. You know, I was looking at that road easement as well, and I'm glad you had it in there going up your road and then over into it.
Yes.
Because I'm not sure even if you could build it up, if you could get a access off of that Coal
Well,
Creek.
I didn't think so.
Yeah, I'm not sure you could.
I,
State road. And
when we first bought that, I was looking at making another road out because of the drifting that we get, and I abandoned it in about 2 weeks. I just didn't see the feasibility of it.
Right. Well, and since there's another ingress to
Yes.
that just down from it, they probably wouldn't let
Yes.
you do it, so. Okay, thank
Alright.
you.
All right, any other questions? Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of PS 21-003? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Being there's no one else wishing to speak in favor, at this time, we'd ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to PS 21-003 to approach the lectern. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? There being no others to speak for or against, I now declare the public hearing for PS 21-003 closed.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would move that we pass PS 21-003 with along with the findings of fact.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved by Commissioner Hendry, second by Commissioner North to approve PS 21-003 along with the findings of fact. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. This is going to get confusing. I now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of CUP 21-003, a conditional use permit for a recreational facility. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, rules of the Natrona County Commission, and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals who wish to speak to address the commission to approach the lectern and state your name and address. Mr. County Attorney, may we have your report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. As you stated, this is a conditional use permit request submitted by the Pathfinder Boat and Fishing Club. So the request is for a recreational facility. You can see there the definition in our resolutions for a recreational facility. The Pathfinder Boat and Fishing Club has managed the marina and RV park since 1988. They provide essentials to the public like fuel, groceries, propane, water, et cetera. Their contract to manage the marina does not expire until May of 2041. The zoning is ranching, agricultural, and mining, and as I'm sure you all know, this is pursuant to a master agreement that the county has with the Bureau of Reclamation. And here you can see a schematic showing the exterior boundaries of the Pathfinder Marina and RV Park. A conditional use permit is an authorization which allows a landowner to use his property in a manner compatible with the zoning district in which it is located, provided he demonstrates compliance with all standards and criteria enumerated in the zoning resolution and specified by the board. So the commission and the board shall require showings concerning all of the following. Will granting the conditional use permit contribute to the overburdening of county services? So the application was sent to a number of agencies. The only comment received was from the health department, and this was regarding the space left to place a septic system in the event that public showers are installed. So we have a proposed finding of fact that the conditional use permit to allow the continued use of the marina will not increase the services that the county currently provides. No additional county services will be required. Will granting the CUP cause undue traffic, parking population, density, or environmental problems? So as the marina there is longstanding, they've currently worked with the health department, DEQ, state engineer, Department of Revenue, Liquor Division, to obtain all necessary permits and licenses. Proposed finding of fact would be that the continued use of the marina will not cause undue traffic, parking, population density, or environmental problems, and that they'll continue to work with the above enumerated agencies. Will granting the CUP impair the use of adjacent property or alter the character of the neighborhood? Since they've been, the Pathfinder Boat and Fishing Club has managed the marina since 1988, so permitting the marina to continue as a conditional use will not change the character or impair the use of adjacent property. Will granting the CUP detrimentally affect the public health, safety, and welfare or nullify the intent of the development plan or the zoning resolutions? Our proposed finding of fact is approval of the CUP will not detrimentally affect the public health, safety, and welfare or nullify the intent of the development plan. With an approved CUP, the marina will be compliant with the development plan and zoning resolution. To date, the Development Department has received no comments in opposition to this agenda item, and notices were sent to all adjacent property owners. At the July 14th, 2021 meeting, the Planning Commission recommended approval of this agenda item, including findings of fact and the following condition. The most current approved Bureau of Reclamation, Pathfinder Marina and RV Park Master Plan shall be the guide for future development and modifications of the marina recreation area. A little bit more background on this. The Bureau of Reclamation had initially requested that we establish a PUD on this property. Because the PUD requires the applicant to actually own the property. That was a path that was not tenable. And so really the thought process with requiring the conditional use permit was to incorporate the master plan so that the county had a mechanism to monitor implementation of that master plan over time and take any necessary steps if enforcement became necessary. So with that, I would stand for any questions.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Nelson? Commissioner Kaufman.
So this is very elementary, and I'm sorry. So really nothing changes about the marina. Is it a condition? Is it something that the Bureau of Rec would like us to do so that there's some kind of a mechanism on the back end? Can you just break this down for me?
Yeah, so nothing's going to change, and the master plan with the BOR has already been approved. And so this is just a way to give the county a little bit more of a mechanism to monitor compliance with that. So as issuing a conditional use permit, if they violate the condition, what that condition will be to develop and operate within that master plan. If they were to go outside of that, then we would have another mechanism by which to enforce that.
So a follow-up question, Mr. Chairman. So if we did nothing, what happens?
I don't have to look to Mr. Hagler. I don't know. I mean, this was a request from the BOR. We've worked, I know, with the Pathfinder Marina because the preferred, and in the past, actually, we've done a PUD, I think, at Alcova. But when we had a fresh set of eyes on it, we realized that's really not the proper way to go about doing it. So this was a request of the BOR, not only for Pathfinder, but for the various locations at Alcova. So if we didn't do it, I don't know, we'd probably have continued discussions with the BOR.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further questions?
One.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the master plan, it's got the one picture that I think you showed up here, but it's got a proposed new dock on it down at the bottom. I guess it's a little different than that one. If that proposed new dock, it goes in, that's on the county, not on these guys, is that right? It's on the Bureau or on us? Okay, okay.
Okay.
Right.
Thanks.
Any further questions? Okay, thank you. At this time, I'd ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of CUP 21-003 to approach the lectern. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I'm Josh Oster. I'm the applicant of this. Do you need my address and all that?
Yes, please.
My address is 1481 North Grass Creek Road, 82604. My name again, Josh Oster. What else? Okay. I am the applicant, the Commodore of the Pathfinder Boat and Fishing Club. I would be happy to answer any questions, and a couple of comments I may have, just because it was brought up, was one of them was about a septic system. I don't anticipate, and I don't believe it's even in the master plan, but I would note for the record that there is a holding tank that was installed, I believe, back in 1988, and that was a requirement when they initially put in the park. The size of that holding tank, I don't know off the top of my head, but I would just note that for the record. I also had, Ms. Brooks had the same questions back and forth if we don't apply for these. Never got any answers, so I'm not sure either. But I'm happy to ask any other questions you may have.
Okay, any questions? Looks like you're off the hook.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of CUP 21-003? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? That being that there is no one else to speak in favor at this time, I'd ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to CUP 21-003 to approach the lectern. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? And third file time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? There being no others to speak for or against, I now declare the public hearing closed for CUP 21-003.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Mill.
I'd make a motion to approve CUP 21-003, incorporating all finding of fact by staff and following condition of following the approved Bureau of Reclamation Marina and RV Park Master Plan for future development.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to second that motion.
It's been moved by Commissioner Mill and seconded by Commissioner North to approve CUP 21-003 along with findings of facts and et cetera. Is there any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. I now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of ZC 21-0006. Request to change the zoning district classification from light industrial to suburban residential 2. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, rules of the Natrona County Commission, and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals who wish to address the commission to approach the lectern and state your name and address. And just so we're clear, it should be ZC 21-006 and not the 0006 that I previously stated.
Just
Mr. Nelson, report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you mentioned, this is a request for a zone change from light industrial to suburban residential 2, submitted by Mike Caruth. So the location of the proposed zone change is just slightly west of the airport. You can see the area to be rezoned, potentially rezoned, is bordered in red. It's just, I guess, southwest of US Highway 2026, and across the highway is the airport. This shows the surrounding zoning, and as you can see, the PUD, that's the airport PUD. There's a small portion of commercial, urban ag, and then below there's SR 2, I guess, to the south. And again, here's a photograph, as you can see on the right-hand side, depicts the parcel to be rezoned. Oops, one too many now. There we go. And again, from a different angle, the subject parcel. And if I'm correct, that's just turning off of 2026. So when contemplating a rezone, the Planning Commission, the board shall require that the applicant provide evidence that the proposed zone change will meet at least one of the following criteria. And as you're probably aware, there are 6 different criteria. And so the first 4 I won't read are listed there. And the application was submitted pursuant to criteria 6, which states the proposed rezoning is necessary in order to provide land for a community need that was not anticipated at the time of the adoption of the Natrona County Development Plan. And so part of the rationale for the rezoning is to provide more suburban residential. And so to support that, the applicant provided information showing that the new Wyoming Economic Survey report states that the prices of single-family homes in Wyoming increased by 8.4% in the fourth quarter of 2019, and the number of building permits during the same time increased by 21.5%. The applicant contends that it is evident that there is more and more empty industrial buildings available for sale or lease in the area. Also, there is an abundance of industrial property more suited to the industrial sector, either via location, quality of land, or within already built development. Natrona County has an overabundance of light industrial properties, developed and undeveloped, and a shortage of suburban agricultural properties based on data from Realtor.com. Going on, the applicant stated that in recent times we are noticing a very dynamic shift of the needs of the county with the oil crash of 2016, 2019, and carried forward with the COVID-19 pandemic. There have been many changes within the county, with many business owners in the industrial oil and gas sector that decided to close shop and retire early. There's now a large number of industrial shops abandoned and sitting empty. With a large influx of people getting away from major metropolitan areas and moving to our city, we feel that developing this land into a nice suburban ag area would benefit the community in several ways. And again, they go on with the statements supporting the change. Would be one of the first areas that tourists and people visiting our community would see when coming into the town from the west. The water line has been approved and for the most part is in place. Final water line installation and testing in the fall of 2021 pending zone change approval. Septic has been approved for each lot at a higher use than would be required for a single family dwelling. So the land to be potentially rezoned is the Landmark Industrial Park, which was platted in 1980 as 43 lots. In the 41 years since it has been platted as an industrial park, only 8 lots have been developed, or approximately 18%. This would go to buttress the fact that there's an oversupply of light industrial. Other subdivisions in the vicinity of comparable situations, Westgate Park 4 was platted as an industrial park in 1981. As 37 lots, only 10 lots have been developed, or 27% of the subdivision. The Zephyr Industrial Park was also platted in 1981 as 22 lots, with 20 being usable. No lots were sold until 2005 when the subdivision was changed from light industrial to suburban residential 2. There are now 13 lots developed, or 65% of the subdivision. So again, evidence to show that there's a need for suburban residential zoning. This map shows the subject lots, the lots that are subject to the proposed rezoning. Below is the Zephyr Industrial Park, and then to the east, I guess, or to the right, is the Westgate Park 4. That's zone light industrial. The Zephyr Industrial Park, which was rezoned to SR2, lies just to the south of the proposed rezone. So this slide gives just a overview of the permitted use in light industrial versus suburban residential. And as you can see, the suburban residential is going to be a little more restrictive, I think. So the staff findings are that the 2016 development plan for Natrona County was adopted on July 5th, 2016. These parcels are located in neighborhood 2 Landmark. The recommendation for this area is infill industrial north of Landmark Lane, residential south from Zephyr Road, to upgrade and maintain roads through ISDs. The zone change is not supported by the development plan. The applicant provided information showing a community need that was not anticipated when the development plan was adopted. The Landmark Industrial Park was platted October 14th, 1980, and consists of primarily 2-acre lots. Future development will utilize public water and on-site septic systems. The suburban residential minimum district size is 6 acres with a minimum lot size of being 2 acres. So the lots within the zone change area are at above the minimum lot size for suburban residential zoning. The Natrona County Health Department reviewed the zone change and has no objections to the request to rezone to residential. Of course, further evaluation may be necessary prior to construction. YDOT was consulted and does not have concerns with the zone change. If the applicant plans to utilize a new access off of 2026, they will need to contact YDOT to discuss access. The Development Department notified 30 property owners. Staff sent notification to Natrona County Airport, Natrona County Health Department, Natrona County Fire, and Wyoming Department of Transportation. Staff did receive comments from the airport, Health Department, and YDOT. The Health Department and YDOT concerns were addressed in the slide previously. With regard to the airport, they had some concerns because this is about 1,650 some feet from the end of runway. And I think most of those concerns are addressed in Section 13 of the zoning resolution. We have in place an airport overlay district, which creates additional restrictions for land usage and building size within a certain radius of the airport, beginning 200 feet beyond the end of all runways, 2,000 feet on each side of the extended center line of each runway in width by 10,000 feet in length, and is shown on the zoning map. So I believe that the proposed area to be rezoned would fall within that airport overlay district, and any development would be subject to those additional requirements. So I think that many, if not all, of the airport concerns are addressed in that overlay district.
Keep that up there.
Yeah, I'm really ad-libbing here. At the July 14th, 2021 meeting, the Planning Commission recommended approval of this agenda item, including the findings of fact. And with that, I would stand for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Nelson? Commissioner Hendry?
Yeah, Mr. Nelson, you talked about the airport overlay, and without getting too specific, I see the letter from the airport talked about the height of buildings or structures in that area. Do you see in there where that's limited any in that overlay?
So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Henry, I'm looking for a specific height restriction. I mean, I don't see a specific height. The following are permitted uses in this district. Notwithstanding any other provisions of this resolution, no use may be made of land within any zone established by this resolution in such manner as to create electrical interference with radio communication, make it difficult for flyers to distinguish between airport lights and others, result in glare, impair visibility in the vicinity of the airport, or otherwise endanger the landing, takeoff, or maneuvering of aircraft. So I think the way I'm reading this is that it's fairly general in terms of the restrictions, and I would have to believe that when a building permit is applied for, then they would take a look at that application and judge it against this requirement. There is a requirement that there be a Natrona County navigation easement filed, with each lot sold. So I know one concern was that, people would move in next to the airport and then complain that there's an airport.
Right.
So I think part of that is putting them on notice right up front that there's a navigation easement and the airport's there.
So there is going to be an easement
There is
on there.
that requirement. That's
on
correct.
all of those lots?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
Commissioner Mill?
Yeah, Eric, if you could go back a couple maps or slides to where you're showing the zones. One more. Or more. A little bit more. And a little more. There you go.
There it is.
All right. So the zone south of Landmark and just south of the proposed property, and then extends over to 9 Mile, that's all light industrial, correct?
Does look that way, correct.
So in essence, we would be making a spot zone at that point.
So under our resolution, because it meets the minimum area size by definition in our resolution, it isn't technically a spot zone. And you can argue under case law because it's not exactly contiguous, right? So I think to your point, you've got a strip of land between the southern boundary and then the SR2. They don't connect up. So, I mean, you could argue that, but I think by definition in our resolution, it wouldn't constitute a spot zone. But I think candidly, that's something I want to look at as we move forward.
Commissioner Kaufman?
So, Mr. Nelson, just for clarification, this is just for zone change right now. Obviously, they have platted lots in here. So will there be another application for a subdivision after this, or is this, because that's an allowed use, this is it?
Right, so, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Kaufman, so this was platted, this was subdivided back in 1980, and so that already exists.
So they're the same
Yeah,
lot lines?
and that's
Okay.
that's not changing, it's just that the request is to change the zoning.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Hendry?
Yeah, it brought up a kind of a question for me. On 2026 in the UA, right up there where there's a little block on the right side, they just put an access road, and it looks like it's about right where that dotted line is, in the middle of UA. They put an access road in there. And so if they have another one up here on the proposed parkway where it comes out, I was just wondering if that's okay with the state, if they have that, another entrance that close. Have they looked at that?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, I don't know if they've looked at that. I know that the information indicated that if they needed additional access to 2026, they'd have to talk to YDOT about that, whether or not they would grant it. I'm, looking at this, it seems to me, I guess I can't answer. I don't know if we have the applicant, if that parkway is already exists and already exits out onto 2026. I mean, looking at the map, it seems to me that it does, but I can't say that for 100% certain.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it is, and I'm thinking the one is over there in the middle of that UA that they just put in.
Okay.
But they'll soon find out from YDOT.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Any further questions for Mr. Nelson? All right. Bill, Commissioner Milne?
Along with the airport, we have a facility out there, correction facility. Is there any concern about that?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Milne, no concern was voiced by any of the, parties that were noticed with regard to that. I didn't find any notes that was a concern. So personally, I can't speak to it, but nothing that was noted in the file.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. At this time, I'd ask those individuals wishing to speak in favor of ZC 21-006 to approach the lectern. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of ZC 21-006? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? All right. There being no one to speak in favor, at this time I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to ZC 21-006 to approach the lectern. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Good. There being no one to speak for or against, I now declare the public hearing closed for ZC 21-006. Chair to entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner North.
I'd like to make a motion to approve ZC 21-006 and all the findings presented by staff.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second the motion.
It's been moved by Commissioner North, seconded by Commissioner Kaufman to approve ZC 21-006 along with all findings of fact. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Milne.
I'm all about private property rights and whatnot, and so I'm, take it for what it's worth, I am going to support this, but I am concerned about the erosion of our light industrial or industrial zoning I don't want to see us box ourselves in and not have anywhere for places to go. I'm also concerned about not seeing development like they see down in Denver. I mean, we won't probably, but you have Denver reaching all the way up to Cheyenne now, basically, with housing. And I'd really like to not see that, but with that said.
Okay. Commissioner Kaufman.
Mr. Chairman, just a comment, I am going to support the motion, but one of the things that I have concerns about is if there are that many people then that move into that neighborhood, and obviously we have challenges with roads, so hopefully that would be covered by an HOA, and just the infrastructure in general, we obviously have a very harsh climate, and I would just want to make sure that people in the area are prepared for that if they move into the area, so, thank you.
Commissioner Hendry.
Yeah, I'm glad that it was on the record in the airport overlay, because that, kind of historically, people move into a neighborhood or build a house, and then they're worried about the airport. Where did that come from? So, I'm glad to know that that is gonna be an easement on the deeds, and at least they know it. When they get a title policy, they'll be well aware of it. So, that's it. Thanks.
Okay. Any other comments? I wish the applicant the best of luck. I'm not too sure who wants to live at the end of the runway, but.
Well, there are people out there.
Right.
There are houses. In Zephyr.
There being no further discussion, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of ZC 21-005, a request to change the zoning district classification from urban agriculture to rural residential 2. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, rules of the Natrona County Commission, and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals who wish to address the commission to approach the lectern and state your name and address. Mr. Nelson, may we have the county attorney report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, as you mentioned, we have a request for a zone change from urban agricultural to rural residential 2. So as you can see on this map, the subject area is north of Casper and east of Bar None, just south of the B.B. Brooks area. And as you can see, the subject area is currently urban ag, is bounded on all sides within the county by urban ag with a little bit of commercial. It touches the corner to the left, and then directly to the south is bounded by the city of Casper. And it's a prairie looking east. That's looking south. And west. So again, we're here on a zone change application, and there has to be one of at least 6 criteria met. This application is brought under the first, which is necessary to come into compliance with the Natrona County Development Plan. Also, under number 6, that the proposed rezoning is necessary in order to provide land for a community need that was not anticipated at the time of the adoption of the Natrona County Development Plan. So the applicant states that while the subject parcels are not out of compliance with the development plan, the plan does support residential zoning districts. The change from urban agriculture to rural residential will not create conflict, as they are both low-density zoning districts and allow for agricultural use. The growth management area of the development plan defines growth as residential, commercial, and industrial subdivisions or parcel development. This is proposed to be, but not exclusively, limited to the growth management area. Growth management is the key to quality development, protection of the environment, and quality of life in Natrona County. So the staff findings. The 2016 development plan for Natrona County was adopted on July 5th, 2016. The parcels subject to this application are located in neighborhood 42, Resolution Flats. The recommendation for this area is residential and commercial, and to coordinate with Casper and Evansville. The subject parcels are located in the City of Casper growth boundary. The application has been sent to the City of Casper for comments. The City of Casper supports the application for a zone change. The application is supported by the development plan recommendation for Neighborhood 42. Neighborhood 42 is located in the growth management area to be serviced most efficiently by local government. The subject property is approximately 5,200 acres. The minimum district size for rural residential 2 is 15 acres. The minimum lot size is 5 acres. The Development Department notified 18 property owners and has not received any comments on this agenda item. At the July 14th, 2021 meeting, the Planning Commission recommended approval of this agenda item, including the findings of fact. With that, I would stand for any questions.
Questions for Mr. Nelson?
I do.
Commissioner Henry?
Mr. Nelson, this land is by an airport as well, Hartford. So the end of the runway is a quarter of a mile from this property, and then the property line is just south of it, hundreds of feet south of the runway. So my question is that when this property's sold, is there any way that we can inform people that, coming in from the east into Hartford Airport, going over this property, that airplane's going to be 300 feet?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Henry, that's a good point. I didn't realize that was up there, but now that you mention it, it is. Let me just take a look at this.
They're going to be, they need to know
Yeah.
that they're going to be 300 foot above the ground when they approach that runway from the east. And then if they make a pattern around it, then pattern altitude's 800 to 1,000 feet. So there's going to be in the future, probably some traffic.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Henry, so looking at the airport overlay, it does seem to be specific to the Natrona County International Airport. So I don't think we have the same overlay protection here. So currently, this is one contiguous tract that's being rezoned, and so it has not been subdivided. So I think if they were going to subdivide and start development, I think that's a very good point that we would have to address in the subdivision process and potentially in the construction permitting process to make sure that people are aware of that. But yeah, so currently, I guess, just a couple things. The overlay district wouldn't technically apply here. Secondly, we're looking at a rezone for the entire parcel. It hasn't been subdivided. So I think that there would be opportunities if this were to get developed, i.e. subdivided and residences were constructed, that we would need to do something similar to make sure people understood that.
Okay, Mr. Chairman. Then if they sold this off in 40-acre tract, would we get would they have to come back in? Or could they just sell it off in 40-acre tracts and not come back in?
Yeah, because they're out. That's a good question.
They're talking about going down to 5-acre
Yeah.
lots.
Right, but if they did,
If they did, 5-acre lots, they would have to come in.
Yeah, that would clearly be a major subdivision. And so,
But
yeah,
at
if you're
40
over,
acres, they might not have to.
yeah, because you're
5,200 acres. It's already 40 acres, isn't it? If it's,
Because, yeah, if you're out there at 40 acres, you're above 35, and I think that's where right. So,
Just so people know,
yeah,
no big deal, just so they know.
right. I think that's a good question, and I don't know the answer off the top of my head, and I should, but I think you're correct. I think that when you're out there over 35 acres, I think they can. And so I don't know what our internal process for documenting that is, but I think in order to make the public aware that that airport is out there and that there could be some issues, that we probably need to, maybe during our zoning rewrite, to address that as part of maybe another overlay district.
Okay.
Mr.
Commissioner Mill?
Eric, if this was approved, could that be part of a condition? is to talk about that airport or give that airport some protections.
Yeah, so, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Milne, so with zone changes, you can't condition a zone change. It's got to be either change it or you don't.
Yes or
And
no.
so, yeah, so we couldn't add a condition. But I do think that, I mean, we could definitely, and now's the time to do it during the zoning rewrite, to look at potentially adding some overlay district or do something on the building side of things to make sure people are aware of that.
If I may.
Yes.
Do you know what their access will be for this proposed if they did subdivide it? Because looking at it, they'd have to either come off Steckenhoff or,
Yeah, I think, trying to remember back to the planning meeting, I think that there was, let me see if I can. Get through the prairie pictures here.
Probably come off West Winds and then try it.
Yeah, I think that's where their legal access is off that access road there, off of West Winds. I think then it drops down into there on the, I guess, so the, kind of the northwest side.
right?
Okay? Yeah, I don't think you're the right person. Ask the question. If, we'll see. Any further questions for Mr. Nelson? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I would ask those individuals in the audience wishing to speak in favor of ZC 21-005 to approach the lectern. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? No one wants to speak on this one. This time, I'd ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to ZC 21-005 to approach the lectern. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? There being no one to speak for or against, I now declare the public hearing closed for ZC 21-005. Chair would entertain a motion to approve ZC 21-005 along with findings of fact.
I have a question, I guess, Mr.
Well, you got to move it first.
Chairman. No staff.
Oh, well, we'll get back to staff.
Okay. Well, Mr. Chairman, okay. I will move to approve ZC 21-005 with all of the findings of fact.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that motion.
Okay. It's been moved by Commissioner Henry, seconded by Commissioner North to approve ZC 21-005. Commissioner Kaufman.
Mr. Chairman, so I don't know what our options are here, but I feel like it's really difficult when people don't show up to testify either for or against this. I think we have some questions that are, in my mind, that are important. One, the airport overlay, and two, do they not have to come before us again if the parcels are 40 acres or greater? So I don't know what our options are to table this until we find the answers to those questions, but that certainly would make me more comfortable. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Henry.
I guess since that tabling motion was not a motion, I'll go ahead and have some discussion. I worry about that also, that if you look at, I got it up on Google Earth, and there's a road that goes down to Hartford Airport that pretty well connects to it. There's a road that goes down to Hartford and then goes east, but it looks like, I don't know where their access to it's gonna be. They're gonna have to go BB Brooks, you got Ormsby that comes down to it. Either way, they're gonna have to come across either BB Brooks or some way, and it isn't spelled out in here.
Yep. Commissioner Mill.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if now's if we have to go through the vote on Rob's motion or not, but I'd make a motion to table this until we can figure out access and the airport situation, personally.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Millen, second by Commissioner Hendry to table ZC 21-005. Do we table it to a date certain or?
Or information specific.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would table it to the next BOCC meeting. I think, given the information requests, I think it'd be pretty easy to ascertain that by the next meeting, so I don't
Okay.
see any need to go further.
Okay. Any other comments on the motion table? There's no discussion, so it's been moved to table ZC 21-005. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. We are at the end of our regular agenda. At this point, anyone wishing to address the commission, if you come forward, state your name and address for the record, and try and keep your comments relatively focused and short.
Tracy Lamont, 9855 Crimson Dawn Road. I got some packets here to pass out for you. First and foremost, I apologize for bouncing back and forth with you, Paul, at the last meeting. I was extremely,
you're right.
I was extremely tired, but we got a lot of ground done. Covered a lot of ground. I'm here tonight, again, to talk about Mountain Acre Subdivision. I know that it's been approved, but there was 4 major issues that slipped through the cracks that needed to be taken care of before the first building permit is issued. And I'll go through that really quickly on them, but I'm here for, I'm a messenger. I'm here for informational purposes for you guys' behalf, and I'm here to resolve some problems. I think, the opposition surfaced because a lot of things just hadn't been taken care of, and we fought through a lot of that, but we just want it right, because this isn't the last subdivision that's going to pop up there. I think this is just the beginning of many. So, with that, and we've identified some weaknesses with the mountain land use plan. I'd like to be put on that committee if at all possible. I understand there's a scoping committee right now going on, and I know those inside and out by this point in time. So I'd be more than willing to volunteer my time to participate in that. And there's some other people I think that probably should too that have asked for that too as well. I'm here in my official capacity. I really don't want to taunt that tonight on them. So that's my cover letter. I am who I say I am. If you'd like to verify that, feel free to contact the sheriff. Feel free to contact the undersheriff, the new one. Feel free to contact the captain, Steve Schultz, and his subordinate, the Lieutenant Rich Brown, or Sean Cheney. Page 1. I don't want to dwell on them, but we beat around trailers up there, and we never came to a resolve, and that's still an issue. We're plotting neighbors against neighbors up there like crazy right now. There's trailer courts popping up on 1-acre parcels, 2-acre parcels, 5-acre parcels, 5 or more. But I learned something. I guess I missed out on not knowing what the zoning resolutions are. But on page 27, it says dwellings under MR1 that are allowed. The following are permitted uses in these districts: dwelling, 1 single family, a manufactured home, which is a trailer. We were told that trailers couldn't, mobile home couldn't be, but that's what it is. Or a seasonal dwelling, which is a mobile trailer or camper trailer. We'll talk about that another day, but I wanted to point that out. Page 2, 3, and 4, you're missing 4, I noticed, or 5, page 4. That's an overview that I wrote, and I want all of these attached to tonight's minutes, all of my findings here that I've given you, so we have a matter of public record from this point moving forward. But page 4 I will supply to the secretary here. You don't have to take time to read that, You can do that on your own. I went back and reviewed the letter that I had sent you prior to the meeting last go-around, and I cleaned it up, and you feel free to just distribute that anywhere you want to distribute it. Going to item number 5, that spells out, that's the plat, the most recent of Mountain Acre subdivision, but the biggest thing that slipped by, we never named the roads. And there's the 2 roads are roads of that attach to existing named roads on it, and the realigned road, it needs to be called Jackson Canyon Road. For the sake of a lack of confusion, it should be called East Jackson Canyon Road. When we work towards getting the rest of Jackson Canyon Road open past Micro Tower at the end of Micro Road, that can be called West Jackson Canyon Road. That's our next step to go after. That road needs to be opened up. It was roped off too as well. Had this segment of what we would call East Jackson Canyon Road not been roped off, this thing would have breezed right through. I can tell you that straight up, but the subdivision should have been planned around the Jackson Canyon Road, but we all compromised, it worked out, and you got rid of it to have Mike having to maintain that road and put it back on the subdivision developer where it belongs. And it is a connecting road, but where I have that highlighted in orange, did that come through on the copy? That'd be Jackson Canyon Road. That utility, I don't know why they were fighting us, but you know, it says right here on the subdivision regulations on page 69, I didn't want to get in an argument with Mr. Nackbar, but you know, in his rebuttal I couldn't. That's kind of a flaw in the system, but it says name, instrument number, and location. And it goes down and says other utilities. It doesn't have to be an easement, it doesn't have to be a license. Why not put the underground utility if it's in there so we don't get somebody digging through it down the road 50 years from now? That needs to be taken care of. On it, the second road, the fire access road, is really a continuation of the public road of South Klein Drive on it. And I didn't fight the private thing. Mr. Campbell didn't want a road running through the front of his house. I can understand that, but there's a solution to that, and we'll wrap up with that on them. So the biggest thing I have down there highlighted in green on the bottom, that's K2 Road, it says. That's not K2 Road. I don't know why they wanted to argue that so bad. I don't know where that was coming in, but that is Crooked Pine Trail. Now's the time to get this cleaned up so we can go down the GIS. And why they need to be right, law enforcement response, you know, it's not always the Casper Mountain Fire Department, but the county fire department in lieu of them, the EMS people. That's why you have to get these right on the front side. Now's the time to be cleaning this confusion up. So, we took care of that. On item number 7, that's the location of the power line. Whether it's underground or above, I don't care, but all the power lines in there's a second one need to be identified. All this can be done very simply without having to bring them back in here, go through the process. They just need to hear from the planner or from the attorney. You got to meet this because right now they're non-compliant. And we can file a non-compliant complaint, and that'll just tie up the code enforcement people. That's ridiculous. Let's just get it fixed. There's the license. I don't care if it's licensed right away or whatever. Moving on to what we found at the BLM, and Eric has copies of this. We met with him. He was kind enough to see us. But there's 3 pages there. On it, the first page shows Micro Road, one survey of it, and they robbed from Jackson Canyon Road right away to build part of Micro Road. And they did the same thing on Hogadon Basin Road. So, and if you look on both of these maps, you can see Hogadon Basin Road. You see Jackson Canyon Road coming off at the bottom right here. And the same thing goes Jackson Canyon Road. It's always been known as Jackson Canyon Road. Somehow, it got called K2 Road when K2 built the tower in there. But guess what? There's only resolutions on file for Micro Road and Hogadon Basin Road. There is none for K2 Road, so let's get our road renamed Jackson Canyon Road. Let's call it East Jackson Canyon Road. Let's get it taken care of right now. The only person I think that has an address on that sitting right there, and she has no problem with that on them. So going to item number 13, You can see Jackson Canyon Road, did it highlight in green too as well? Did it come across? But where the confusion goes when you turn to page 14, for some reason, our planning department messed up, or the surveyor did in the planning department. They decided to call it K2 Road when they changed it from Reed Simple Subdivision to Reed Major Subdivision. So it's Jackson Canyon Road. We need to change it. Page 15, we're going through this really fast. You didn't think I could do that quick, did you, Brooke? So, page 15, it shows, and this is the one I showed you last time, Paul. There's K2 Road. That needs to come off there. Let's get rid of the confusion. Number 16, it tells about the purpose of the 9/11 and for the GIS purposes. We don't need to waste our time on that. But last but not least, the Jurgensen girls, you know, their father came to my aid over a timber cutting issue years ago when I was on the Parks Board, and I'm just returning the favor. I'm not speaking for them, but they got hosed in this deal. But they hold the cards. They hold the cards. Ingrid Jurgensen provided this map with me. It shows where the location is. We talked about Death Valley at the last one. That's item number 18. They shut off their only secondary access out of there. I know their letters were confusing, but that's what the girls thought it had been all these years. And they inherited it from the grandfather and down, and then they were just stating what they'd been told. So 19, it is the mineral MMH home site. That's these roads here that connect, and Mr. Lehman needs those roads. If you go to number 20, he's trying to use that for his fire route number 3. That's where the rocks are on the road, and I think they're out of there by now on them, but it can't line up. And you can see that I did get correspondence from Ingrid, and I know you guys got one from her. She was confused. I was confused. I didn't make the meeting the last time because it was moved to Monday. That's why I questioned why it was moved, and I'm happy with that. But she sent a letter to you guys, each one of you personally. You should have got it Monday night or either the next day on Tuesday. I don't have a copy of that, but it's pretty indicative that they weren't happy. And that's contrary to what the opponent's lawyer had to say. That didn't go over very well with a lot of people. We're going to wrap it up here with number 22. This is what I was trying to show at the closing of the meeting, and I was so frustrated and tired by that time on them. But there's the triangle. If you read the overall, those roads have to connect, and they don't right now. There's only 6'8" that connect in the fire route number 3. That shows on their exhibit number A8. You can't get a fire truck through 6'8". So what I've illustrated there, they're considering, because they've got the shaft so bad, putting up a 20-foot gate and say no one's coming across our property. So if that happens, no one's got a fire access or escape route. They're in the driver's seat, not Mr. Lehman nor Mr. Campbell. And Mr. Campbell and I, his wife and I, we met on Sunday. We went through all this, and they said, my Lord, what have we done to those people? So the Jurgensens are willing to work with Mr. Lehman. I don't know if they're going to sell him an easement, but he needs their easement. If not, he needs to go over here to the Sugarts. And Sugarts, I don't know, they've not entered into the discussion at all. But that's the yellow rectangular, trapezoid or whatever it is. On it, they'd have to have that to connect the road to make it 20 foot. Are you all tracking with me? Does that make sense? So that needs to be taken care of before they move any further ahead on it. And the Jurgensen girls are willing to reroute where the route was taken away from them. And Rob, that was a good call on your part. I really commend you. But if those parcels, when they sell the next owner, if he doesn't want them coming across, they're locked out. They're screwed because there's no bona fide easements. The same thing with the private road right here that we allowed, fire access. Any owner of Lot 1 and 2 can shut that down without any easements having been granted to the Harshmans, to the Campbells, to the Kleins, and to the Jurgensens. I rest my case. The only last thing I have is I pointed out, there was an argument at the end over gating a subdivision road, or a road. Mr. Nakbar came down pretty hard on me with that, but it's on the nuisance laws, intentional barricading, blocking, or obstruction of any county road or any private road which has been lawfully dedicated to use by the public. That's a private road, it's not going to be dedicated to use of the public, so they can put a gate up on Archery Range Road on their access roads that go in through Lot 3 down to 2 and 1 and lock all those people in there, and we got the campfire all over again out of California. You know, what good is to have a lock on it and those people are going to use that as a safe zone if they don't have bolt cutters in their car? It'd be a shame to burn them up. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Tracy. Mr. Lamont, sorry. Any questions? All right, thank you.
I don't like being a pain in the butt, okay? But
Oh,
it needs to be right, okay?
We're going to work on all of this.
Thank you, Paul.
So-
And I commend all of you that went up there and took the time and the initiative to look. I think every one of you went up there, so we're all working together, but we got to get over this, making concessions. All it does is pit neighbors against neighbors and create hard feelings from that point forward. If one guy can do it, everybody else thinks they can do it. That's why all these roads are locked up there, so thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Or anyone else wishing to address the commission tonight? Okay. No one else? All right, at this time, commissioners' comments. Commissioner North.
I think we've learned a lot of different things in the last few meetings. There's a lot of areas that we need to work on our regulations and improve them and streamline them so they're easier for everybody to understand. Casper Mountain is only part of it. We've got several other areas that we're going to be looking at. And all I can say is I appreciate the public's patience with us, because I know we've gotten a lot of emails and a lot of phone calls and stuff on different things. And it's going to take a little while to get everything straightened out. I mean, it's just going to take time. So I do appreciate everybody's patience with us so far. I know Mike's been very busy after this last rainstorm. Casper Mountain Road got shut down because of slides, and I know we had a lot of washouts in other places. We've got a lot of stuff going on in the county right now, and we do just appreciate your patience with us. Don't hesitate to get in touch with us if there's something that's going on so we're aware of it, but be patient with us because it's going to take a little time to get to it. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Milne.
Where do I start? We all, I don't know if you want to address this, Mr. Chairman, but we all received.
I was going to, but go ahead.
No, I'll let you take it if you want, but I'll just make a quick comment. We did receive a bunch of emails from concerned employees of the healthcare sector about potentially being required to have mandated vaccinations. We just know we did hear you. We don't have any control over the hospital, never have. It was a landlord tenant thing, not an operational control at all. Masks are coming back, the thoughts that masks are needed. I'm potentially going to the North Slope and operators are requiring masks again. And I can't say, both the vaccine and the mask is a huge personal decision. I'm not going to discredit you if you choose to do it. I'm not going to discredit you if you choose not to. That's a personal choice. But everybody that thought COVID was over buckle up. We're in for another ride, I have a feeling. That's all I've got.
Okay. Commissioner Hendry.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I didn't have really too much, but I did want to say something. A week or so ago, we lost a former senator, Mike Enzi. And I'll tell you, I wasn't real close to him. I didn't have his cell number and all that stuff, but every time the Commissioners Association went back to Washington, we had full access. We met with him. He went a long ways from a shoe salesman in Gillette to the State House and then on to Washington. Was there four terms, I think?
23 years.
Quite a while. And, but did a good job. And it's a crazy accident in a bicycle and ended up having a wreck on that bicycle. But anyway, Wyoming lost a good friend the other day. So that's all I'd have.
Commissioner Kaufman.
I do have a few things, so thank you, Commissioner Hendry. I agree. God bless Mike Enzi and his family through this time. I just wanted to make a few comments. The county did retain Kalen to update the Trails Master Plan. I know we're looking for stakeholders to participate in that, so for those of you who are interested in outdoor rec, who are watching the YouTube channel, please engage. You can reach out to myself or Mike Brown or Mike Hagler, so I know we're putting that list together. We're getting really close on the wayfinding signage, so RDG has done a good job. I think we're really close on some of the vehicular stuff, so I'm excited about where that can go. Some of that did get funded in the budget that we passed a few weeks ago. And then lastly, I just want to say thank you to the county staff who's very flexible. So Eric acted as some kind of a trial attorney today for a contractor license, and then he is our attorney for a minute, and then he hops up and does the planning and zoning. And I know that all county staff is very flexible as we, just have problems we need to solve. So I just want to say thank you to staff for all that you do to make the county run. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'm going to kind of jump in on Commissioner Milne and Commissioner Hendry's comments. Not only did Wyoming lose a great politician, the whole country did. Mike Enzi was one of the most unique senators Washington has had and probably ever will have. He will go down in history as probably passing the most bills where he was the originator, because he realized nothing's perfect, and if you can't agree, you just set it aside. He was the author or originator of more bills that got passed than any senator in history. And he brought a temperament that Washington, D.C. and this country needs desperately. So I do wish his family all the best. I got to know Senator Enzi through the years of local government, and just one of the neatest gentlemen you'll ever meet. As it relates to the health care, this is sweeping the country right now. It doesn't matter whether you're in health care or not. We're seeing it Walmart. I noticed I was out Walmart today. They're wanting masks on. Home Depot's asking you to wear masks again. Vaccinations, mandatory vaccinations, or strongly suggested if you want to keep your job vaccination. We have no control over any of that. As it relates to the Wyoming Medical Center, we've never had a control, probably for the last almost 3 decades. We own the buildings. We never had any control over operations. So we really never had any say. I have a great appreciation for those that want to take the vaccine and those that don't. I believe it is a personal choice. I'm not a real big fan of this coercion. And I find I don't know if you want to call it hypocrisy, but the mixed message. If you wear a mask, you're safe. If you get vaccinated, now you have to wear a mask. Somewhere along the line, those that keep telling us what we have to do have to recognize that there's a lot of people out that have a pretty good head on their shoulders, and they're scratching their head wondering why you think we don't want to get vaccinated, or why we don't want to wear a mask. Asking everybody in Casper right now, or Natrona County, wear a mask. We're not even in a high, what the CDC considers a high transmission area right now. Things just don't make sense. And if they want people to get vaccinated or wear masks, they're going to have to come up with a message that is consistent, because right now it changes every day and it makes absolutely no sense. Again, I personally got vaccinated. It was a personal choice. I hold no ill will to anybody that doesn't want to wear a mask or doesn't want to get vaccinated. That should be their choice. If they don't want to get vaccinated, the masks are supposed to work. So it doesn't make a lot of sense, and I feel for those that feel strongly about not getting vaccinated, because there is some fear out there. I have family and friends that feel very strongly about this, and they have no intention of getting vaccinated. And the fear of losing their jobs pops up in there pretty quick. So it's a tough thing out there right now. We'll see where the Delta variant takes us. But the nice part is, I think in Natrona County we learned a lot through this, and I think we will weather this next wave much better than we did the first one. So with that, if anybody else has any further comments as I rambled on. None? All right. We are adjourned.